That's fine. There's three things that the book mentioned about Sherrie that I think were very, very poignant. Trying to live the right way, trying to do a good job with her marriage, her children, and her job. But something isn't right. She feels helpless in isolation, feels confused, feels guilty, and above all, she feels like her life is completely out of control. Because even to some of the younger ones, felt like life was completely out of control.
She wants to know where God is in all this.
Yeah. And where's God in all of it? There's three things. The first one that I thought was very poignant was that trying harder was not working. Trying harder wasn't working. And I don't know, some of us are workhorses. Some of us are built to just throw up our hands and quit. Some of us go off in the corner. Everybody handles being overwhelmed differently. But I'm one who's built to keep trying to figure it out. Much to my wife's chagrin, because I don't know when to leave stuff alone, and she tells me just let it go. I've always got to find a solution. I've got to find some way of making things work and solving the problem or working it out. And sometimes, no matter how hard you try, it does not get better because your efforts don't attack the problem. Being nice out of fear was not working for her. Anybody ever been afraid to say no to somebody else?
Yes.
No.
No, you never had that problem? You're a good one. You never had that problem? You might be on the other end of the spectrum, though.
You will.
Eventually,
Yeah.
keep living. But no, there are some people that have no problem saying no. Unfortunately, typically, and I'm not saying that about you guys, because we'll get there when we get there, but they tend to have a boundary issue on the other side of the spectrum. What we're dealing with right now are the effects of people that have poor boundaries and how it weighs on them. At some point in time, we're going to be talking about a different kind of boundary problem about those who tend to violate other people's boundaries and where their problems come in, because they have problems just as much as we do, usually and usually manifest themselves in different ways. So we're going to cover the whole spectrum, but we're starting at this point. Trying harder is not getting her control of her life. Being nice out of fear, because if I say no, if I can't do it, they're going to be mad at me, they're going to talk about me, they're going to fire me. Parents are going to call, they're going to call the principal on me, they're going to call, I'm not going to get invited to the family picnic. I'm not going to get invited to the Christmas dinner if I start saying no to these folks. But being nice out of fear, I mean, you can keep saying yes, but it's not getting you anywhere.
Right.
And then taking care or taking responsibility for other people is not working.
Ooh.
And like I said, we've been there before, many of us are taking, and that's where the question that the counselor asked me the one time, where are you going to be okay? And I'm saying, this has to be okay, this has to be okay, that has to be okay, that has to be okay, and then maybe I can be okay. Taking responsibility for everybody else did not work for her, and it doesn't work for anybody else. The reason Sherrie felt like her life was out of control was because she had taken on responsibility for things over which she had no control.
Yes.
As I went throughout that scenario and gave you a very high-level set of circumstances about what she was dealing with, she had taken on the responsibility for things that she had no control over whatsoever. What happened at the church was outside of her control. She wasn't in charge of it. Something happened and somebody calls her up and says, I need you. No control. Kids acting up at school. This is her high school student or middle school student acting up at school. Kids at school. What do I have control over what they're doing when I'm away? Husband's got an issue. Mother's got an issue. I can't control my mother's issues. All of these other people have their lives, but she takes ownership of it and feels like I gotta fix what's going on with everybody else. Meanwhile, she has no control over what any of them are doing.
Right.
You guys live this? Maybe somewhat living it now?
I remember her friend that called her at work and took half her lunch time.
Yeah, that's another one I forgot about.
And She said this has been going on for years, and she felt like she was helping her friend,
Yeah.
but then she realized that 10 years later, her friend's still having the same problem.
Yeah.
So she had to ask herself, am I helping her?
Right. And we all want to be good people. We all want to help see the people around us do well. But 10 years of talking about the same thing over and over and over again, am I really helping? Or at some point in time do I say, okay, well, I've said all I can say, and does that make me a bad person if I do that?
No.
How do I figure that out? In her desire to do the right thing or avoid conflict, she ends up taking on problems that God never intended her to take on. Her mother's problems, her boss's problems, her church leader problems, her husband's problems, her friend's problems. Let me see that again. In her desire to do the right thing or avoid conflict, she ends up taking on problems that God himself never intended her to take on.